Dr. Fauci, give us vaccines. Help all the people who have been quarantined. We'll wear our masks and we'll have to stay distant. We'll wash our hands and we'll be more resistant. Fauci, yes? Promise us, please. We'll have a cure that can fight off this disease. Restrictions will lift with some ease. Dr. Fauci, don't forget me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we wonder why reproduction rates are at their lowest and continue to rapidly decline. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Okadowski of WeAreChange.org. A lot of crazy, important news to get into today, especially with the ever-so-loving relationship that is fostering between BLM and Big Tech, and the rekindling of old relationships, just like the one that you're seeing between Mr. Epstein, Miss Ghislaine Maxwell, and, of course, the President of the United States that have resurfaced in new bombshell photos. There's a lot of news to get into this particular case. And we're going to do that plus a lot more while calling out the mainstream media for being absolute corporatist, globalist, sellout shills, as perfectly exemplified by the latest article from CNN that highlights all the free stuff you can get if you could get the shot. Of course, highlighting things that aren't really good for your health, like Budweiser, Junior's cheesecakes, Krispy Kreme, Nathan's hot dogs, and yes, White Castle. For some reason, they put Staples and Office Depot there. But yes, CNN is shilling these multinational corporations because they're going to be giving you a patent for your obesity to the state and the pharma industrial complex. And I don't know if you need to hear this, but someone forcing a Budweiser, Krispy Kreme, and Nathan's hot dogs down your throat, they don't really, I don't think they really care about your health. Just my own personal opinion right there. Especially if they're trying to get you to go to White Castle. If someone is trying to get you to go to White Castle, you should reevaluate your relationship with them. And as some ad agencies are pushing this wider idea and trying to get influencers to shill out for them, we also have to understand that there's also been a lot of protests that have been absolutely underreported and deserve at least to be mentioned that happened all over Europe just this Saturday alone during a freedom rally that drew out a lot of people all throughout Europe. In places like London, in places like Vienna, Paris, of course, as well. They always protest there. And again, these protests, these demonstrations are not a part of the conversation, are not a part of the lexicon, and they absolutely should be, since there is a totally different perspective of which, sadly, a lot of people are not hearing in the mainstream media. But they are hearing a lot from individuals like Dr. Fauci that has never really been asked about his involvement about the laboratory in China that he was a part of doing gain-of-function research with. Yeah, sadly, there's no questions about that. And again, no matter where you stand on this particular issue, for you to know that things are going on, that there's a different perspective is absolutely important to me, and that's why we report on these things. Just like we reported on the Epstein situation years ago when, by and large, the mainstream media was still promoting and propping up Mr. Epstein, as of course many mainstream media publications just released press releases made by him and his company, trying to make him out look like a good guy, trying to make him look like an entrepreneur, like an investor, and the complete opposite of that is true. He was doing unspeakable things that we can't even mention on this YouTube channel, allowed with the full authority of the state for over 30 years to run an international child trafficking and hurting in unspeakable ways operation that allowed him to be surrounded by individuals like Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Kevin Spacey, and of course many other luminaries out there. And just moments ago, from The Sun, we have released never-before-seen photos with Miss Maxwell, with Miss Epstein, and of course the President of the United States at the time during his first year in office, with these never-before-seen videos, which actually highlight how the relationship between Bill Clinton, who skipped Secret Service protection to fly on Mr. Epstein's plane multiple amount of times, that relationship started a lot earlier than people thought, as of course we still don't know a lot of important details surrounding this case, as thousands of children still have never seen justice from this man's actions. And again, Epstein being VIP guest in 1993 with Clinton may highlight the possibility that this 30-year operation was running a lot longer than we previously even thought. And again, this man was tied into the upper echelons in more ways than we even understood, as even Joe Biden's pick to be his top science advisor, no surprise here, also had extensive relationships with Mr. Epstein. Why in the world would Joe Biden pick a man with ties to Epstein to be his top science advisor? Another thing worth noting here is that Mr. Epstein also had a fond adoration of the eugenics study, which he extensively focused his efforts on, even tried to launch a eugenics project. All, of course, as he's hanging out with all the top scientists like Bill Gates. Yeah, that eugenics part's, seems something that should be brought up and talked about, but it's not, and the mainstream media has been ignoring this story, trying to make this story go away, and of course not connecting the dots with what should be a front-line national headline news controversy, and it's not. It's just the Sun releasing this. In context here, especially with everything that we know, this should be the biggest story right now in America, and it's not. But that's why we have independent media to talk about it and then quickly get censored for doing so. And because of that, and of course being fully demonetized, we started to work with companies that I personally like, that I personally use, that I think you would like as well, to finance this media operation. And one of them is a trivia game called The Conspiracy Game. I actually like playing this. We were playing this at the Beanie Castle. I had a lot of fun playing it. I think you will too. If you check out our affiliate link down in the description below, if you click on it, check out what this game's about. I think you will have fun and also find an opportunity to stay away from the blue screen, big tech, social media grip of your existence and reality for a few moments, and actually talk to people in real life, look them in the eyes, and have some fun with them. Great way to bring on some new friends and family members. Check out The Conspiracy Game. Link is down below. I appreciate you guys very much for doing so. I'm most likely not going to be doing a video on LukeUncensored.com. I have a full schedule today, by the way. If I do decide to do something quickly and impromptu, the video will be sent out in our email list, which again is free to sign up for, and we notify you every time that we release a video. Now, in related news in big tech social media companies controlling your vast understanding and reality that you're currently in, we of course have this article from the Daily Mail that really doesn't pull any punches and highlights how big tech social media companies like Twitter, Facebook, and Netflix had their moguls donate millions of dollars to the Marxist, communist BLM co-founder, who is now buying houses in predominantly white areas with that money, and in exchange is pushing for political ideas like net neutrality, which of course big tech is in favor for. The Daily Mail also reveals that big tech companies are also blocking users' ability to share stories that are critical of this Marxist BLM co-founder that, of course, they fund themselves to do their bidding. And I think the relationship here is pretty well documented and described and has a lot of merit for concern. As, of course, BLM gets millions of dollars, private homes in white neighborhoods, Twitter, Facebook, Netflix get someone that pushes their policies for them. That will greatly benefit them to the tune of way more than just the millions of dollars given here to this BLM co-founder, if, of course, this policy goes through. So seeing BLM push for the corporate globalist pet policies of the big tech oligarchs shouldn't be a surprise there. Seeing any criticisms of BLM censored shouldn't be a surprise there, since of course the relationship is becoming more and more clear and more dangerous to anyone that stands in the way of it, including myself. Again, wearechange.org/donate if you want to support us, by the way. Just thought I would add that in there for you guys. But anyway, moving on. Now, some people, especially the PR representatives of these big tech companies, would say that it's just a coincidence, that they truly do believe in BLM, and BLM is pushing their pet policy projects, that it's a total coinkydink that this happened. But obviously, we weren't born yesterday. And to have other individuals like Jason Whitlock to be blocked from his account on Twitter for tweeting accurate news stories about the BLM founder buying homes in predominantly white neighborhoods is absolutely ridiculous, especially with the vast amount of power and influence that Twitter has on our political discourse and essentially controls it in many aspects. And for them to silence criticism, silence the discussion, silence an actual legitimate conversation based on truth is as deplorable as it is terrifying. And again, we have to understand, these are private, multinational corporations with ties to a lot of special interests, and they will always cater to their bottom line. They will always cater and make sure that they serve the interests that, of course, help them out the most. As we recently even found out that Twitter censored tweets critical of India and their government's response to this on requests of the Indian government. This is even The Verge reporting this. And to see this vast level scale of censorship against political ideas, against accountability of government officials, shows you the writing of the wall of the technocratic totalitarian state that is already here. Some people say it's coming. I don't agree with them. I think it's already here. They have entangled their webs, entangled not just the United States, but the world. And they are using, quote, the woke BLM Antifa ideas in order to push through their agenda because it works perfectly for them while scaring the crap out of anyone daring to question them. Especially Antifa, that has been violent during many protests, especially BLM, that there have been many riots in result of, a lot of property destruction, a lot of deaths associated with their events, and to see them having almost the same policy as some of the top multinational corporations, as even Goldman Sachs and CIA came out all with the same talking points as they are spewing and talking about and pushing for, shows you the true nature of a relationship that seeks to destroy anything in its pathway. The corporate multinational globalist state has their foot soldiers, and we know exactly who they are, and they're trying to rule with fear and intimidation, according to my own personal opinion. As even a recent juror described during a very famous case that just ended, while, of course, more protests, more violence are continuing to ratchet up and escalate in places like Portland, where even the Portland mayor, that has been an absolute softie throughout this entire saga, that has been an absolute punching bag, that has been the perfect representation of Flanders from The Simpsons, he is now taking words from the previous president of the United States, saying, quote, "It's time to take our city back by going after violent protesters," as he is coming out asking the public to help identify some of the people that have set fires and are intimidating other people in Portland during, of course, these, quote, protests. This, of course, as he also had to be forced to extend the state of emergency, as that entire city is on edge, fearing more violence. And as some of the peaceful, working, regular citizens of Portland live in fear, along with their government officials, about what the mob will do next, the Biden administration, well, they're making sure that a lot of these criminals, that a lot of people who got caught, that a lot of people who were protesting, well, that they're going to have their charges quietly dismissed, even though the U.S. Justice Department warned them that these individuals being released have, quote, consequences for acts of violence. Yes, the Biden administration is letting go some of the protesters that the Portland mayor is trying to crack down on, which, of course, he will be unsuccessful of because of the federal leadership under Joe Biden, which, according to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, which was supposed to be a populist, which was supposed to be a representative, which was supposed to be a person that was going to be bucking the system, is absolutely loving the system right now, as she says that she had her expectations exceeded with the progressives and policies of the Biden administration, and even deciding to push the goalpost even further, asking him to increase the $2 trillion infrastructure bill to $10 trillion. And again, it's called the infrastructure bill, but it's a bill that it would essentially allow a lot of, quote, aggressive far-left ideologies to play out through the United States with this bill that has, in many instances, nothing to do with infrastructure. But again, look at the situation here. As citizens live in fear of violent crimes, especially in big urban areas like in New York City, where crime is dramatically going up, assaults on women dramatically going up, things done to women that we can't even speak about, spiking in absolute horrible ways. under this Democratic leadership, as there is a crisis of humanity on the southern border with massive unsafe, unsanitary conditions where children are put in and incentivized to come in, as now DHS even announced that they're planning on releasing many of these migrants into the United States. This, of course, will spur more migrants to come in, obviously. As there's this widespread human suffering, this has exceeded the expectations of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And because of that, and because of this rampant, absolutely out of touch of reality concepts and ideas that these people push, expect more of this to happen. As of course it's common sense, since these people don't have solutions but keep causing a lot of the problems that we normal people have to deal with, as we are finding out that Kamala Harris, who has been assigned the border czar, who has been afraid to go to the border, had an idea to, quote, pay migrants to plant trees to stop them coming to the United States. Yes, that's the idea. That's what they're trying to do. As they're letting people in illegally into the United States to try to change the voting demographics so they always stay in power for the existence of this country for however long it still lasts, their idea is to pay migrants to plant trees. And obviously this is a ridiculous idea. Obviously it's not going to work, especially with sanctuary cities promising almost every aspect of existence to people who come here illegally, that of course work for many multinational corporations for pennies on the dollar and also make labor more cheap in the United States. So yeah, as that's happening, I don't think it's a peachy situation to expect. But if you know what's going on, if you're in the know, you could make preparations. You could start positioning yourself in a way that could actually not be as devastating as the rest of America is going to be facing of a situation. And if you think I've helped you understand the situation a little bit more, if you think I did a somewhat honest job trying to provide you the truth, the best that I could, share this video with your friends and family members. It is more importantly than ever. Importantly? I don't think that's even a word. It doesn't matter. It's more importantly, double click the URL. English is my second language, and spelling errors have never stopped me, as you know if you look at some of my social media. Double click that link. Share it with some random person right now. Go through your messenger, go through your DMs, just scroll down. Someone you haven't talked to in a long time, send them this video. Let me know what they say in response down in the comment section below. I always appreciate you guys because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Not doing a Luke Uncensored video today. I will be doing another one tomorrow to keep you more in the know of these exact situations and what to do to help yourself. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.